If you are not subscribed, you probably will never see me again. If you are subscribed, congratulations! You are now on a journey through the wonderful world of knitting. Hello, welcome to my channel. I'd like to show you today how to knit this beautiful diamond stitch knitting pattern. Don't you think it's stunning? I do. So for this pattern, all the uneven rows are where the main stitches come into handy, and for all the even rows, so in other words 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 and so on, is all a row of purl knitting. Okay, so stay tuned while I show you how to make this gorgeous knitting pattern. You can use any knitting needle size and any yarn you prefer. Depends on you what you'd like to do. This is the right side and this is the wrong side where all the pulling is done. Okay, so first of all, what you're going to do is you're going to cast on a multiple of 10 stitches plus 1. So for the purposes of showing you how to knit the stitch, I'm going to only cast on 21 stitches. Okay, so we've got our first stitch there, and then that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'll do the other 11 stitches off camera and I'll meet you once I've cast on 21 stitches. Okay, now for row 1, I'm going to go very slowly so you understand how to proceed with this row. So firstly, you're going to knit 1 to begin this row. Okay. Next, you're going to do yarn over needle, and this yarn over needle is to create a new stitch. Next, you're going to slip this stitch that's on the left side of your needle like that, and then you're going to knit 1. Okay. You're going to take your stitch that you slipped off the needle here, and you're going to pass it over this stitch you just made and over the needle. Okay, so we're going to pass the slip stitch over like that. Next, you're going to knit 5. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then you're going to knit 2 together. So grab these 2 stitches together and knit them. Next, you're going to do another yarn over to create a stitch like that. And then knit 1. Okay. Now we're going to repeat the sequence for the row. So I'm going to show you the sequence now of what you need to do to repeat all the way across for this row. So for the sequence, you're going to do a yarn over like that. Then you slip 1 stitch, knit the next one, knit 1, like that. Then you're going to grab the slip stitch and pass it over the needle like that. Next, you're going to knit 5. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now you're going to knit 2 together. That's 1, 2, knit them. And then you're going to make a yarn over and knit 1. And that's the sequence for the row that I just showed you. You're going to repeat that sequence all the way across until you get to the end of the row, depending on how many stitches you've cast on. So for row 2, which is the even row, so in other words 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, we're just going to pull across. I'll just show you a few and then I'll do the rest off camera. Okay, I'll continue off camera and I'll meet you for row 3. Okay, so to begin row 3, I will go slowly again and show you how to knit row 3. So first you're going to knit 1. Okay, now I'm going to begin the sequence that you're going to repeat for all the way across for the row 3. Okay, so to begin the sequence, you're going to knit 1. Next, you're going to yarn over. And then you slip 1. And then knit 1. Next, you're going to pass the slip stitch over, so get your slip stitch and pass it over the stitch and the needle. Then you're going to knit 3. That's 1, 2, 3. Now you're going to knit 2 together. Next, you will do a yarn over. Now you've created a stitch and then knit 2. That's 1, 2. And that's the end of the sequence. So you repeat that sequence all the way across for row 3. I'm going to show you the sequence one more time across my row. So you're going to knit 1. And then yarn over like that to create a stitch. Slip 1 off and then knit 1. Now you're going to pass the slip stitch over like that. And then you're going to knit 3. 1, 2, 3. Next you will knit 2 together. Yarn over to create a stitch and then knit 2. That's 1, 2. And that's the end of the sequence for row 3. If you've got more stitches than me, you can repeat the sequence all the way across. For row 4, all I'm going to do is I'm going to pull all the way across. So I'm going to do it off camera and I'll meet you for row 5. Okay, so now we're about to begin with row 5. So to start row 5, you're going to knit 1. Now we're going to begin the sequence that you repeat all the way across for row 5. So begin the sequence by knitting 2. That's 1, 2. Then you will make a yarn over and slip 1. And then you knit 1. Next you're going to pass the slip stitch over. And then you're going to knit 1. Next you will knit 2 together. Okay, then you will yarn over to create a stitch and then knit 3. That's 1, 2, 3. And that's the end of the sequence. We will do it again together so you get used to the sequence for this row. So to start, you're going to knit 2. 1, 2. And then you're going to yarn over and slip 1. And then knit 1. Pass the slip stitch over. Knit 1. Knit 2 together. Yarn over, knit 3. That's 1, 2, and 3. And that's the end of the sequence for this row. You can continue that sequence all the way across. For the next row, as usual, we're going to do the same. We're going to pull all the way across. So this is row 6. Pulling. Okay, I'm going to complete my pull row off camera and I'll meet you for row 7. To begin with row 7, first we're going to knit 1. Now we're going to begin the sequence for this row. So you're going to knit 3. 1, 2, 3. Next you will do yarn over to create a stitch and knit 1. Sorry, not knit 1, you're going to slip 1. So instead of knitting 1, you slip 1 after the yarn over. Now you're going to knit 2 together. After this, you're going to pass the slip stitch over. Okay, and then you yarn over and you knit 4. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's the end of the sequence. Let's start the sequence again. Knit 3, 1, 2, 3. Yarn over, slip 1. Okay, knit 2 together. Like that. Pass the slip stitch over. Like that. Yarn over and knit 4. That's 1. Oops, let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's the end of the sequence, and you're going to repeat that sequence all the way across for this row. For the next row, I'm going to do purl all the way across. I'll meet you for row 9 once I'm done with purling this section. Okay, we will now begin with row 9. So what you're going to do for row 9 is knit 1. And now we're going to start our sequence for all the way across this row. So you're going to knit 2. That's 1, 2. Next, you're going to knit 2 together. Okay, now you will yarn over, knit 1, yarn over again. Now you will slip 1 and then knit 1. Next, you're going to pass the slip stitch over like that. and then knit 3. That's 1, 2, 3. Okay, and that's the end of the sequence. We're going to repeat the sequence again so you can get the hang of it. So let's start. First, you're going to knit 2. That's 1, 2. Next, you're going to knit 2 together. Okay, next you will yarn over, knit 1, yarn over again. Then you're going to slip 1 and knit 1. Then you're going to pass the slip stitch over. Next you will knit 3. Since I'm at the end of my row, I'm knitting the last 3, but you can carry on with the sequence all the way across for this row. So that's 1, 2, 3. Okay. This is how it's looking so far. Next, you're going to repeat the same thing for the alternate row, which is this one, and that's just purling across. So I will purl across and I'll meet you for row 11. Okay, so for row 11, we're going to knit 1, and then to start our sequence, we're going to knit 1, and then we're going to knit 2 together, and then we're going to yarn over and knit 3. That's 1, 2, 3. Next you will yarn over, slip 1, knit 1, then you're going to pass the slip stitch over, and then knit 2. That's 1, 2, and that's the end of the sequence. Let's repeat the sequence one more time. So you're going to knit 1, knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to yarn over, slip 1, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over, and then knit 2. And that's the end of the sequence, which you're going to repeat all the way across is the sequence. Okay, that's the end of row 11. I'm going to do purl right across for row 12, and I'll meet you at the beginning of row 13. Okay, so for row 13, you're going to knit 1. And then to begin the sequence, you're going to knit 2 together. Like that. And then yarn over and knit 5. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next you will yarn over, slip 1, knit 1, next you're going to pass the slip stitch over. And then knit 1. Okay, so that's how the sequence goes. Let's start the sequence again. Knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, yarn over, slip 1, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over, and then knit 1. And that's the end of the sequence. You repeat this sequence all the way across for this row. On the other side again, you're going to pull right across. So I will pull off camera and I'll meet you for the last row, which is row 15. See you there. Okay, now we're about to start row 15. So what we're going to do for row 15 is to start by knitting 2 together. Okay, so let's do that. Oopsie, sorry. Wow, I can't get this right. Why? Okay, there we go. Now we're going to start the sequence. Try your best to pay attention to how I do this sequence, because since I only have just a few little stitches on my needle, the sequence is going to be just shown one time, and then I'm going to get to my last 9 stitches. So I'll show you the sequence, then I'm going to show you what you need to do once you reach your last 9 stitches for the row. Okay, so listen out for the sequence right now. So what you're going to do is you're going to yarn over and knit 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Next, you're going to yarn over and slip 1. Knit 2 together. And then you're going to pass that slip stitch over. If you have a look, this cute little V shape we're making here that looks like a knitting stitch is every time we slip a stitch over, just by the way. Okay, so we'll pass the slip stitch over. And that's the end of the sequence. So you repeat that sequence all the way across for row 15. Now, once you've reached your last 9 stitches on your row, I'm going to show you what to do. You're going to yarn over, knit 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Next, you will yarn over and slip 1. And then you're going to knit 1, which is the last stitch on the needle. And there we go. That's the end of row 15. Now you're going to go to row 16, and guess what you need to do for 16? Any hints, anyone? You're going to purl all the way across. And that's the end of the pattern. And if you want to carry on with your pattern, you're just going to repeat from row 1 all the way to row 16. And you should get that beautiful design that I showed you in the beginning of this video, which I'll show you soon as well. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was clear and easy to understand. Let me know in the comments what you think and what projects you're thinking of making with this. I'll be glad to hear in the comments. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you all. And by the way, if you're interested in learning how to make this beautiful ripple stitch knitting pattern, check out the link in my description below. It's so beautiful and the color is stunning, but obviously you can use any color yarn you want. I'll see you in that video. Bye for now. Ciao.